Alright, hi, this is my Iblock hydrogen and gasoline motor. Um, so here's what it looks like in the front. This right column over here, this side is the hydrogen with all the diaphragms that go into that create go from the intake manifold into the exhaust. As you can see, it has a pulley belt system. There's two different pulleys, dual cams on the top through the motor block, starter solenoid, water pump, uh, fuel rack, or fuel pump rack, and then on the side it has connection holes to get to the crankshaft. In the front, it runs a small servo cylinder in the front, which runs runs as a green, yellow, red, green, blue, yellow. These are writer heads, so it can write onto a Blu-ray hard drive. Over here, we have the exhaust. We have the exhaust in out exhaust pipes. And then over here in the center, we have four different stems that are connected here with bleeding valves. These are needle adjustment valves. The intake is square tubing. The belt, one of the pulley belts runs to the intake for the manifold. And now we'll look at some of the cross sections. So here's the cross section from the front. We see the pulley somewhere around the first cylinder. We come out, we hit the first flywheel, which is with a pulley. We hit the first, here's the water pump scavenger. Over here is the starter solenoid. And then it goes into, water pump hole goes into the cavity here in the head block. We start to see the camshafts on the roller rockers. We see our first, we see a solenoid, the solenoid water and baking soda hydrates into here, goes through the fan. Fan starts, and then it goes through the diaphragms, and there's four of those. So those are stemmed into the intake manifold. We have the cylinder. We have two camshafts with lash sheets on them. A hole manufactured for the spark plug. Cylinder heads. Right here we get a look at the piping. Has a wraparound feature around the top there, in the top of the fuel rack, which jumps into the intake manifold through here. And now let's switch views from the top bottom down. We'll look at the top down. So here we hit the engine case. We have holes to put in here to put the fuel racks in. We have somewhat of an oil pan around the cylinder heads, intake manifold, and then we hit the connection rods, camshaft, and then the bottom where there's two different bowls there, oil pans. Over here we're looking at the four hydrogen solenoids. Then we hit the wall right about here. We'll see a half plane of it. And these are spring loaded, so they collect in each cell. We have the fan motor to suppress it into the hydrogen solenoid. So this one's a hydrogen and gas. We'll take a look at the back of it. The back is more. Look at this place. Okay, there's your cross-sectional view. Um, Over here you can see water pump. Here we get the starter solenoid. Has solenoid. Right, it's a ratchet gear. Pops out, spins the ratchet gear. That's the starter solenoid. And then it goes into the water pump. And then we can move in more and more. Now we get over to we get over here to where the intake comes in, and then we see here the intake going in, sliding in between the rulers, in between the pens, into these different four different size chambers. And we take another look at the throttle solenoid, and the gases that escape, and that's a look at our Iblock motor assembly, four-cylinder solenoid, throttle, hydrogen solenoids into the intake, mix of gas and hydrogen. Once again, we're using a mixing line with a needle adjustment valve. Alright, thank you.